in, guys. Bit of a different start to today's podcast. If you guys haven't watched it yet, I suggest you check it out. Billy Walters go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Pretty good interview. We're going to play a clip from that here, and then we'll go into it a little bit further. John, if you want to say anything before the clip here.
Just so you guys that have no clue, and there's just many of you, we're going to be listening to Billy Walters. Billy Walters is regarded as the greatest sports bettor of all time. He's not some kid on Instagram telling you to go bet 6-leg parlays. Okay, this is the greatest sports bettor of all time. Listen to what he's got to say and see how closely we mirror exactly what Billy Walters does and how he does it. So why don't you get it started, Ben, then we'll pick it up after then.
Nope, guys, this is on Joe Rogan's podcast. So for any copyright reasons, be sure you guys check that out, Spotify, YouTube. It's not our content.
Got lucky, I mean, because there's, I want to bet. And the reason I had such a big bet is what I do, Joe, is I make a line on a game myself. My prediction of what I feel like the differential should be.
Independent of what the experts
completely
say.
Independent. I don't even look at their line when I make my line.
Really?
No.
That's
know anybody that does that, Ben?
That's all.
No, guys.
I'm doing the same thing they're doing.
Right.
I mean, believe me, the principles that I'm following and making my line are the same principles that the handicapper is making. But it's Joe, it's kind of like baking a cake, One guy might put a little bit more flour in than the other guy does. And so that's how we end up with different, lines, different numbers. So I make a line on each and every outcome of the sports that I'm involved with.
And you betting this on the individual players, their overall career, what age they are, how they've been playing this season, who the coach is, all the different factors, whether or not there's in-player disputes in between players. Like, there's a lot of things to take into consideration.
Again, I put it all in the book, and you're right. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. Some more important than others, but there's a lot of factors. And then what happens is the larger the differential between the number they make and my opinion, the larger bet I make. There has to be a minimum of a certain amount of separation, or I won't make a bet. But the larger the difference is between my opinion and their opinion, the larger bet I make. So I'll just give you a rough example. Let's say
who uses this method? Anybody? No, anybody come to mind?
Let's say I would have to have a minimum of, say, a 1.5 differential from the line they make.
Really?
The line I make. 1.5, 2 points.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I would bet 1 unit, okay? That would be the smallest bet I would make. But for each half point, so if I made the line on a game 6 and they had it 8, I would bet 1 unit. If they made it 8.5, I would bet 2 units. If they made it 9, I would bet 3 units. They made it 9.5, I would bet 4 units. They made it 10, I would bet 5 units. Well, the New Orleans game you asked me about, which I couldn't believe, was a Super Bowl game. And this type of year, we never get this kind of differential. But I had like a 7-point differential between the line I made and the line they made. Really? They made Indianapolis 7, and I thought the game should be pick'em. And when I saw the line, I couldn't believe it. I went back. I said, well, maybe I haven't made a mistake here. I went back, redid it. No, pick them. So that's how I ended up with such a large bet.
And that, guys, is Billy Walters. As John said, the GOAT, highly regarded in this industry by pretty much everybody. If you guys haven't checked out his book or watched that episode, if you're a sports bettor, you'll definitely find it interesting. And, you'll see a lot of similarities between his methods and John's. I will say, when I got his book, and I was hoping to get some, obviously a new edge, find some new things. 98% of it was very redundant to a lot of the stuff I have learned from John. So that's Billy Walters for you guys.
Okay, so there's no question. It's not up for dispute. Billy Walters is the GOAT. When we talk about the GOAT, when we talk about the OG in sports betting, this is the guy. If you have been a member or a follower of mine, you know this is exactly to the point how much of a differential we need to make a bet, how much that we're off we add units to. This is it. You clowns. You morons, you newbies, rookies, you peasants, do not tell me and Billy Walters how to bet. I'm tired of going over this. This will be the last time I'm going through this time. There's only one way to bet, and that's the way that Billy Walters just explained how to bet. I've told you guys, I've dealt with Billy 40 years ago, back in the day. This is it. So again, the guys, I had one guy saying it's embarrassing to hear this clown talking about beating the line. It's the only thing that matters for you guys that don't. Guys, don't watch. Don't watch the podcast. Don't watch Instagram. What do you watch for? Just to make a stupid comment? So anyway, here's what we're going to do. Because Ben asks you guys every day, subscribe, like, comment. So we get 200, 150, I don't know how many views. We get 11 likes, and our negative comments far outweigh our positive. What me and Ben do, taking time out of our day. Look, we're trying to make money out of this. We want to be Joe Rogan on YouTube or somewhere up there. But to come here, not get the views, not monetize here, and to give a lot of our time out just for negativity. And we can't get out of the, whatever it is, 150 guys, we can't get 75 guys to hit the like button. So we cut it down from 5 days a week to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you already missed one of our biggest bets since the All-Star break. Dallas Mavs, a 4-unit bet last night. Should have won that outright. What a terrible game for the guys that did have the money line on that one. But I'll cut it down even further. We're going to do Wednesday and Friday. And if we don't get 75 likes each day and we don't get 30 to 40 comments, next week we'll cut it down to Monday and Friday. And it'll be the same then. If we can't get likes and comments, we'll cut it down to 1 day a week. And we won't be doing any days a week by the time baseball starts. I'm not making any money from this, guys. If you're not going to help us out, we don't need to help you out with free information. You want my information, you can join. Or guys like Joseph Barasco and Persian Prince, you can go follow the kid that's giving out $10,000 on the street betting parlays. So that's your two choices, gentlemen. And for the guy fast forward through John's rant, listen to John's rant, guys. What the information that I give you kids is the I say it all the time, is the best sports betting information you're gonna get. If you listen to Billy Walters, if he had a Brooklyn accent, he would have sounded just like me in that whole interview. So with that being said and done, hope you guys keep us on the air. If not, hey, I'm sure more of you guys that are here for free info will turn into members. And the guys that don't, bye, see you later. So other than that, Ben, yeah, big day yesterday, nice 4-unit bet. Mavs, the way things were going, I said, oh, no, don't tell me we're going to blow a 10-point lead. 4 minutes left, taken 4, and still blow this game. But thank God we hang on even after the Struss miracle.
Yeah, crazy game there. Crazy shot by Struss, and really crazy fourth quarter. But I forget who it was. A few weeks ago on the Instagram Live, I was talking about, I'm not sure if Miami's going to be able to kick it up as much from the role players they lost. Mentioned Vincent, Struss, one of them. Big shots, big moments, and he single-handedly pulled off that game in the back end last night. Crazy day as a whole, though. Bucks looking back to Milwaukee standards a little bit so far since the break. Big 38-point win. Granted, it's against the Hornets, but hey, they took care of business in that game. Hawks, absolute blowout over Utah. Celtics blowouts the Sixers. Pelicans blow out the Knicks. Magic blow out the Nets. It was just blowouts after blowouts last night. Double-digit wins. Only crazy little upset. Detroit Pistons get the Bulls. Bulls shot the second worst 3-point percentage in NBA history last night, John. That's a brutal one there for the Bulls.
For 29. I mean, that was horrible. We're in the second half of the season, and we talked about that already. We're getting ready for playoff Jimmy. Miami kicks it into high gear, Second half of the season. Spoelstra, I talk about one of your best coaches, if not the best. Milwaukee, it looks like they've turned the key, turned the ignition back on. It looks like that 14-point favorite that lost at Memphis to a G League team just before the All-Star break was just the kick in the ass that they needed. Enough of an embarrassment to get them on the right path. Denver Nuggets, another team. They've won the 3 games since the break by 15+. They had been looking like they were just going through the motions a lot in the first half. So, again, we see it. It's second half and all. One bet today. I'm going to give it to you now, is the Lakers. And the Lakers were a team that turned it on in the second half last year, and they're going to have to do that again this year. Right now, they're in the 10 spot. With Golden State's win last night, Lakers are in the 10 seed right now. Now, they're not no danger of falling out of the play-in. For Jazz are 4 games back. The top 10 teams in the Western Conference, those are going to be your top 10 teams in the playoffs. I think the top 10 in the East are also Toronto, Atlanta flip-flopping, about the only other one that have a chance to flip-flop. But the Lakers, if they're going to want to move out of that play-in to a top 6 seed, they're going to have to turn it on. We'll see how that goes today. And on the other hand, all of a sudden, the Clippers doing Clipper things. Second half, they were playing great basketball. We'll go through those stats a little bit. Now, Paul George going to miss the second game. This is the time of year. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, start falling apart. So we'll see. We'll talk about that more later. But, this is it. Second half of the season. It starts to get a little more meaning to it. I intend to kill the rest of the season. Let's get started, Ben.
Let's get started. Got a good matchup here. Pelicans at Indiana to get this card going. We got Naismith, McDermott, a couple of role players there questionable for the Pacers. Pelicans back-to-back after winning against the Knicks last night in New York. They travel. Absolutely took care of business in that game. They're 6-1, their last 7 on the road. And that Knicks team, I mean, without Brunson, it is just not the Knicks right now, guys. This Knicks team, what is struggling right now. So be aware of that moving forward. But the Pacers, 2-1 on the homestand. They're coming off a tough game there against the Raptors. Mathurin with a terrific game, 34 points, 11-15. Couldn't get it done there. As far as the matchup history, home teams won each of the last 4 meetings. And I'll be looking at the home team in this one again today. Got to see what's going on with the Pelicans. McCollum hasn't been playing last couple of games. Does Zion get a rest tonight on a back-to-back? Who is in for New Orleans tonight? But this feels like an Indiana spot all the way.
Just give me 1 second, Ben, as I'm trying to check something out. I don't believe what I do want to talk about, I'm sorry to bring this up before, was the other part of the Billy Walters interview that we didn't play, as he spoke about injuries and how important they were. And you guys got to check out the full interview, the beginning part especially, because that's more of the gambling sports, team sports betting, gambling stories that relate directly to what I do. It talks about how important TJ Watt, a defensive player, is one of very few defensive players that have that kind of effect on the game. And you guys know we talked about that during the football season. So, I mean, what Billy goes through mirrors so much of what we say. So getting back to the injuries, whether they're called injuries or rest, we got a lot of back-to-backs today. We got a lot of question marks. We got question marks that aren't even listed as question marks yet. Remember, the NBA injury report comes out at 2 p.m. Eastern every day, and that's when we know what's going on. As far as today, you got Pelicans coming off the back-to-back. Now, they pretty much cruised in that back-to-back, so we'll see what they got going on today. But Brandon Ingram left that game limping a little bit. Is Zion going to come in a back-to-back? CJ McCollum has missed the last couple of games. And Alvarado, he's suspended. He'll serve the last game of suspension today. Now, Brandon Ingram and Zion forced to handle the ball a lot more with no CJ McCollum, no Alvarado. They had 11 turnovers between them last night. The only thing was they were playing a Knicks team that was missing 5 rotation players. We already know Robinson, Randall, and OG are out. Brunson and Hartenstein sit out yesterday. So they could have had 20 turnovers and still beat that Knicks team. So I'm not giving much credence to them. We'll see who's playing for them on a back-to-back. Again, you get your 3 key players, CJ, Zion, BI, all questionable tonight. Pacers, Ben told you they lost to Toronto. That's because they don't win in the back-to-backs. 2-9 against the spread in back-to-backs. They're fresh today. They'll look for a victory. All depends on the injuries for New Orleans. Does New Orleans play this as a give-up game in a back-to-back, get everybody healthy and move forward? You know how Indiana can score. If that's the case, you could see a double-digit win here.
We have Grizzlies at Minnesota. This is going to be another game to be very wary of. This Minnesota team, who all sits today. Cat played yesterday. Was at a bit more of a rest situation with the back-to-backs and personal. So see what's going on. Is he coming back today? Edwards, he turned his ankle, went out of the game, came back, finished with a strong game, but does that thing swell up last night? They come back around today. Is it looking like he could get a day off today? And you have official list, but questionable Anderson and Gobert. So really, this whole roster for Minnesota, who knows who's lacing up today, makes it tough to want to get involved. The only thing I could say is could be looking at getting an under here before all that injury news breaks. I know that Knicks total, I believe, went from all the way from 220 down to 214.5 yesterday with all the injuries. This could be one of those totals. Should be a low-scoring game either way. Memphis, lowest-scoring team in the NBA. Minnesota, best defense in the NBA. You might want to get ahead of that in the injuries. Other than that, wait for lineups.
Well, this totals it's dropped down, but just a little bit. It's the next two totals that I like. The next two totals under, obviously, but they've destroyed the overnight line. We'll get there. We'll talk about it a little bit. As Ben said, you've got. Did you mention Kyle Anderson? Also, he left the game last night. Cat. Gobert and Conley, are they going to play on a back-to-back against the Grizzlies team that they've beaten 3 times by a combined 61 points? It's a matter of who's going to play for the Timberwolves today. Timberwolves looking like one of your better teams. Memphis, we know what they are. They're just coming off a bad beating, but the Grizzlies have been good on the road. So if everybody's going to sit out, don't take this Grizzly team lightly. Bucks did that as a 14-point favorite loss. It's all about the injuries, guys. And again, like I said, listen to Billy. It's the sharp guys moving the lines, and then it's the injuries. One other thing while I'm on it, sorry, Ben, we should have addressed this all at the beginning. There was just so much to go over with Billy. He talked about how when you have handicappers, it's like guys making a cake. One guy's going to give a little more weight to this. So in other words, one guy's giving a little more weight to how they do at home or how they do away, how the matchup is, the streak that they're on. So that's the little bit of differences that I see a game one way, somebody else sees the game the other way. But again, so we'll see what the injuries are in these top 2 games, because without knowing the injuries on those top 2 games, you can't give an expert opinion.
These next 2 games, both going to have those spots from that Mavs-Cavs game last night. I think that's a double-edged sword there. I think that hurts for both teams. You had Dallas down as much as 15, come all the way back, go up by as much as 10, just to blow it and lose on a heartbreaker. Got to travel to Canada, play the Raptors today. That's his first game here. It's just a tough spot. Does Kyrie or Luka get a night off tonight? Either way, tough game to get up for. The Raptors playing pretty good right now. 3 straight wins since the All-Star break. Can they continue on that momentum? They're 7-1 against the spread the last 8 meetings versus Dallas. This is a spot that has Raptors written all over it. It would be Toronto or nothing in my eyes. Dallas, they are good on back-to-backs this year, 6-3 against the spread. Just a complete heartbreaker last night. They dropped 2 in a row now since that 7-game win streak. Wouldn't be surprised if this one makes it 3.
Yeah, that's why if you're a Massa Edge member, you see I put the minutes that Luka and Kyrie played in parentheses. In other words, I wrote it. Luka, 41 minutes last night, had 45, 9, and 14. And Kyrie, 39 minutes last night, added 30. 41 minutes, 39 minutes, back-to-back. It's also 3rd and 4. Remember, Dallas started this road trip in Indiana Sunday, so it's Sunday at Indiana, last night at Cleveland, now up to Toronto, where Ben told you they've lost 7 of their last 8 meetings. And although they've covered 4 of the 8, tough spot for Dallas. Wouldn't be shocked. Luka or Kyrie get the day off. But sometimes when Dallas, they sit everybody. They're not supposed to. You're not supposed to sit your start, but they kind of sit everybody. Podol, the center for Jacob Podol, the center for the Raptors. He left the last game. He was questionable, but he was at shoot-around this morning. Still questionable, though, so we'll see what happens there. I agree with Ben. It's Raptors or nobody. Another injury game. If either Luka or Kyrie are out, the Raptors have to be the favorite with Dallas being back-to-back 3rd and 4. And so we'll, again, be waiting on the injury report.
Yeah, a bit of a sandwich spot as well for that 3rd and 4, and they get the Celtics in Boston to wrap up a trip next. So really just a bad spot all around for Dallas, and really it's a bad spot for Cleveland as well coming up in this next game against the Bulls. Obviously, they're on the positive side of what happened last night, but you come back down from 10 in the final 3 minutes, and then you hit a 60-foot game winner to ice it up. You're probably going out last night enjoying that one. Shrew's crazy closeoff. We talked about that earlier. Cavs win the game, but obviously they didn't cover. Mavs covered for us. Cavs now 0-6 against the spread, their last 6 games. And then you have this Bulls team who is coming off the worst game of possibly ever, shooting 2 of 29, the second worst in NBA history, against the worst team in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons. So you have one team coming off as good of a win as you can have. You have one team coming off as bad of a loss as you can have. Bulls, obviously, no travel will be a spot here for Chicago. As far as the matchup history, it's all Cavs winning the last 7 meetings, last 3 trips to Chicago. I just think this spot's too good to ignore for the Bulls today. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that clip of LeBron where he talks about, when a team comes out after a bad shooting performance, he gets worried in that first quarter because that's usually when they start to pick up pace and push that in. Could be a look today for the Bulls' first quarter after that last game.
Look, I agree. It's going to be a tough game to get up for the Cavs after yesterday's game, and they haven't been playing good. Look, they were playing great basketball, Cleveland, just before the break, and now the few games after, still winning some games, 3-3, but 0-6 against spread, not winning the way they should be. 2 of those games they were missing Mitchell with the illness, so we'll chalk that up there. Look, to me, this is Bulls or nobody. I just can't pull the trigger with the head-to-head. 7 straight, 5-1-1 against the spread, Cleveland is, with the only cover being a few days ago in Cleveland. Chicago had that game, and Cleveland went back and stole that one. If the game was to go any higher, it's Bulls or nobody. But once again, just hate to bet against the trend.
Then we have Kings at Denver in this next game. Yet another triple-double for Sabonis in their last game. They did not pull out the W, though. What is that? It's 21st on the season, and I think that's 6 straight or 6 of the last 7 now for Sabonis.
6 of 7. Yeah, he had one game where he just missed.
Yeah, so that prop right now is about plus 150, plus 135, depending on your book. Could be worth a look. He just keeps on cooking them. Then you have obviously the other triple-double legend, Nikola Jokic, coming off a fantastic game. This Denver team playing pretty solid. He had 32, 16, and 16 in that win against the Warriors. As far as the matchup history, been a bit of Sacramento this year. Earlier in February, they get a win in Denver, so it's a bit of home revenge. Kings been sliding off a little bit. This would be Nuggets or nobody in my eyes as far as the spot, but I don't get here with the number. Don't want to be laying this much against one of the best against the spread road teams in the NBA. So lean to the Nuggets. I just need this number to come way down or look for a better spot live, but it is a good revenge angle here.
Yeah, it's more than just home revenge. This is triple revenge. Shaq's won all 3 this year, and they won the 2 at Sacramento by a combined 35 points. The last one was a beatdown not too long ago. So you got a little triple revenge going here, and Fox is listed questionable. He's Sacramento's leading scorer, 26.9 points per game. So my number on the game is high. My number is 8 points on this game. If Fox is out, could only like Denver looking for the triple revenge. Denver, since the All-Star break, like I said, different team, 3 straight wins, all by 15 points or more. Sacramento could be in for a letdown. They just lost a terrible game to an undermanned, shorthanded Miami Heat squad at home. Maybe they were looking ahead to this one. Maybe they took it too lightly coming off the Clippers game. Either way, if Fox is out, just you don't make up that scoring. I would lean to Denver.
And then last game on this card, Lakers at the Clippers. Lakers coming off that loss at Phoenix. LeBron, another solid game, 28 points, 12 dimes. He, AD, and D'Lo, now 5 straight, each scoring 20-plus points. Lakers, though, usually win the free throw battle. They got cooked in the free throws in that one, 18 of 9 to 4 of 8. So that's usually where they have an edge, and they completely lost that one. Clippers struggling right now 1-6 against the spread. Their last 7 coming off that home loss against Sacramento. Harden, 2 of 10 from deep in that game. He was a minus 25. No Paul George there. No Paul George tonight for the Clippers. As far as the matchup history, Clippers more or less own this matchup, but not this season. Clippers 12-2, 11-3 against the spread the last 14 meetings. This season, though, Lakers have won 2 of 3, and the only one they lost, LeBron James did not play. Now you're flipping that. LeBron back in, Paul George out. Obviously a big swing there and an edge for the Lakers tonight. And part of why we are looking at the Lakers tonight, John.
Yep, it just feels a little different. Clippers had owned, and I mean absolutely owned this series coming into this year. We talked about it at the top. Clippers just all of a sudden a little bit different. Clippers from December 2nd through February 5th, 26-5 straight up, 21-10 against the spread. Since that time, 3-4, 1-6 against the spread. Last two games, James Harden, 5 for 21, shooting 23.8%. And now you're going to be without PG for the next game. All of a sudden, that Clipper team feels like, oh, no, here we go again. Look, this is a neutral court. It's a home court for both teams. So if you're a Master Edge member, you want to use the ratings. Use the Lakers home rating. Use the Clippers home rating. They're both at home. That's why in the preview, I'm not saying this team at home. I'm using Lakers are this in LA. Clippers are this. When I'm saying this, their record in LA. I think this one's going to be right down to the wire. This is a game's going to be right there, decided